What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Raw review. This one is from October 24th, 1994. Raw starts off with Yokozuna taking on Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental title. I don't know when this happened, but it looks like they have new graphics for nameplates on Raw. I just wanted to point that out as the show is evolving. I like to point out different little things that they add here and there to graphics, sets, stuff like that. Yokozuna attacks Racer from behind, but Racer is able to knock the big man down to the outside. Once again, I think this is only the fourth man to be able to do this. However, they let Adam Bomb do this, so I don't think it's a big deal anymore. I remember last year Crush knocked him out of the ring and the whole place went crazy, but it's lost all of its impact now. Yokozuna gets back on top after a clothesline and a leg drop. Doesn't even go for the pin. Yokozuna goes for a splash into the corner, but Racer moves. He climbs the ropes and gives him a bulldog for a close fall. Then people start looking towards the entrance, and Yokozuna gets punched to the outside. Yokozuna starts backing up towards the casket. He turns, notices, and runs scared to the back. He gets counted out, and Razor Ramon retains his title. It was building to a good match, but of course, like all title matches on Raw, they have some sort of interference for the finish, and that's pretty much it for that. We then get our first Survivor Series update. A couple matches get announced. For right now, I won't mention them. I'm going to try to talk about them when those superstars and storylines are on TV. Next up, the Smoking Guns with a tag match versus Jobbers, and they pick up the win. They are part of the team called Guts and Glory, taking on the $1 Million Team at Survivor Series. Speaking of, Tatanka with a few words for Luger, and he calls him an immigrant, which I thought was hilarious and truthful. Luger likes to portray himself as this great American, but Tatanka is the true American. He also wishes him no luck in his match against Bob Backlund next week. Both those guys on the opposing teams, as I mentioned at the Survivor Series as well. Tatanka also comes out for a match versus a jobber. They call his Samoan drop finisher the end of the trail. I'm all for them giving finishers a name. Even though it's a goofy name, the whoopee cushion, at least they gave Doink's top rope finisher a name as well. Tatanka attacks the jobber some more after the match is over and continues to set his sights on Lex Luger. Next up, a vignette with IRS at a funeral parlor. He points to someone in a hearse and wonders if, when they were alive, if they paid their taxes. And also that even though we die, we still have to pay taxes. Is that true? I know that the problem goes on to the family, but what if a person really has no family left? Does the payment never get paid, or does the IRS still find a way to get their money? So yeah, it looks like IRS is going to be taking on The Undertaker after his stuff with Yokozuna. Then another jobber match with Adam Bomb picking up a win with a pump handle slam. Then from out of nowhere, Bob Backlund gets him in the crossface chicken wing. Referees come out to get him off, and Backlund goes trotting to the back. You know what? I like having Backlund in a main storyline because I get to use old words like trotting and prancing when I do these reviews. So that's another plus of having Bob Backlund on the show. Then, speaking of old and washed up, we have yet another King's Court making its return to Monday Night Raw. Why does WWF Superstars get the Heartbreak Hotel and we have to put up with the King's Court on Raw? But of course, terrible banter as always from the King before he introduces his guest. Macho Man says what we're all thinking, and on commentary tells King to get to the point. Now that Doink has three little clowns with him, King introduces another. Well, I think this meme was ahead of its time, but he brings out three short kings. I knew short guys were kings all along. He calls them Queasy, Sleazy, and Cheesy, just like this storyline is cheesy as fuck. They also have that terrible heel laugh. Jared does it, King does it, Neidhart does it, I think Cornette also does it. I don't know if you guys have ever heard it. If I remember, I'll play the clip. I think he challenges them to a match, Doink and all his little clowns, but I'm not sure because I wasn't paying attention. I do this for free, so I'm not going to be paying any attention to things I don't really care about. Then, in another jobber match, Diesel hits the jackknife for the win. They throw some more shade at baseball players being on strike. I used to laugh at this promo back in the day when I first got into WWE, but now it's sad just because it makes no sense to me how they can't form a union and how wrestlers aren't employees. When you're an independent contractor, you should be able to work anywhere, but that's how the show ends. Backlund also skedaddled his way to the ring for some reason, but nothing really happened with that, so yeah, that was the end. This show started fine with the title match leading into the Tatanka stuff, but then it just started going downhill. So I'm going to give this episode another bad grade. I don't understand why they couldn't hold off with the main match for the end of the show. Maybe it was the time restriction that they had, didn't want to risk the last match going too long and they couldn't get the finish. I don't know, but them giving us a jobber match to end the show will always make me lean towards a bad grade if it's a close call. This one wasn't a close call though. I think it's another skippable show. And the thing about it is, how many more of these skippable shows can there really be before a pay per view? I think there are going to be 4 more episodes of Raw before Survivor Series. They must give us one decent show beforehand, right? I mean, let's put ourselves in someone's shoes in 1994. There is no social media, and we rely on our friends at school to tell us if Raw was worth watching. Will there be one show worth watching all the way through before Survivor Series? Besides just to watch the Survivor Series update, nothing is really advanced on these shows to make us care about the matches. At least they keep these guys strong by winning before the pay per views, but still. Have the $1 Million Team attack the Guts and Glory team at a charity event or something. Have Backlund and Bret Hart's dad get in a war of words where, I don't know, Backlund says that he's younger than him or something to get Bret Hart angry. Anything. Nope, they just have Yokozuna run away from a casket again. We've seen this already. Show us something different. No wonder the WWF was in such a bad state in the mid 90s. Thank God for the NWO and WCW, because if not for that, I think wrestling would have stayed as cartoonish as it was back in the day, and it probably just would have transitioned into what we get today with no Attitude Era in between, which really would have been odd because you wouldn't be seeing any real storylines. Because you think about it, the Attitude Era could have really happened in any era except for now. So if you take away NWO, there's no Monday Night Wars. There's no reason for the WWF to really try and think outside the box. So they're not going with the Attitude Era. So from the cartoon era, they just keep going all the way into the 2000s. And then once the world starts being a little bit more politically correct, they can't do any of the stuff that they did in the Attitude Era or the Ruthless Aggression era. So they just got to transition from the cartoon era to the PG era. So just thinking about that, everybody, just right now, thank God for there being a WCW and NWO and Monday Night Wars, because if not, who would actually be watching this stuff? As a kid, I watched wrestling because it was something different. If it was cartoonish, no way I would have started watching it. If this was what was on TV when I started watching in 2008, nope, I'm not watching that at all. So yeah, with that being said, that's it for the review. I went off topic there, but whatever. Catch you guys on the next one.